That sentence made everything crash into the ground for me. And I could no longer put out that website and be that business or that name.
Freedom is my fate. Freedom is my face. Freedom is my name.
Welcome, ancient dreamers, to my home. My name is Jennifer Claroscura, and today I'm going to share with you how your waking reality, or as I like to call it, the waking dream, can give you enough signs about things to come, things you're going through, and also give you valuable insights, just like the dream. As many of you know, I took the name Claroscura as a result of that era. It was a name that means light and dark, and I took that name to never again forget who I am, what I am, and that I need to always be in tune, awake. Otherwise, you never know who will take the wheel of your vehicle. This is my journey, and it's a quick example of how I could have seen it if I was aware. As soon as I moved to California, I had 2 part-time jobs. I worked for a lady called Jennifer Light, and I worked for another lady called Rain Shadow. Now, if that had happened to me now, I would have prepared for what was coming. It hit me hard, and I went into some of the, I guess what you could call it, the dark night of the soul. But it was, for me, it was like really intense, kick your butt shadow work. But for a couple of years before shit really hit the fan, I was working for light and shadow. I could have made it less painful for myself if I had seen the signs, and I didn't see the signs. I was completely in denial of things to come, and therefore I did not see that I had been warned even 2 years before everything just hit the fan. I had studied hypnotherapy in order to explore the dreaming mind further. And what happened was, and I was about to open my practice, and I called it Divine One Healing. And I was completely in a love and light mentality. And this was all during the time that I was working for Light and Shadow. And I was completely being light. One day I was reading a book. I can't recall which book it was. I think it was Deepak Chopra book. But there was a paragraph in there that said,
"Your prevailing characteristic is hidden. You act on it without seeing that you are acting on it."
Is hidden from you. And for some reason, it made me so angry. How can I not know myself? What is this person saying, you know? It was like the light and the shadow suddenly was visible to me. The other side that I couldn't see was visible to me. And I realized it was like, what have I done? It was like a spell was broken, and what have I done? Looking at my website, looking at what I had created, looking at how shit had hit the fan, looking at everything that had happened before that moment. Not only that, I remembered that I had gone to a party. All these things happened all at once. I had gone to a party in New Year's. Dimitri was traveling at the time. He was in New York. And it was a New Year's Eve party. And I had only $10 with me. And I was wondering if I should go get a drink. I was walking to the bar to drink, and this like leprechaun / Mad Hatter personality, just totally drunk, doing his drunken thing, just came, suddenly stopped, walked right up to me and said,
"You have to get a tarot reading."
It was so out of the blue, and he went back to his normal drunken self, that I looked at that as a sign that I should go get a tarot reading. So I went to look for this tarot reader that I had not seen at the party. And I went to every dark corner of the club. It was like an 80s night or something. And I finally found the tarot reader was this gigantic drag queen, bald, with huge black and white eyelashes. She was sitting on a tall stool on a tall table with another tall stool next to it. And I asked, how much are the tarot readings? And she said, $10. So I sat down, and the first card that came out was the Tower. And she was explaining how my life was going to drastically change. And all the other cards after that, all she could talk about was my light and dark magic. I did not understand this. She kept saying, I'm going to use my light and dark magic. That everything was going to, that was my path, that was my purpose, that was, and believe me, all this went in here and out here. I didn't even I understand the tarot reading until that moment when I read that sentence. And then I realized, I remembered all those cards, the High Priestess, and everything that she was saying just came to my mind. And then I remembered my artistic self. I studied photography, and I remembered her. I remembered that Jenny that was all about a style of photography that they call chiaroscuro, and everything was about harsh contrasts, light and shadows. And that's how I would develop my film myself. That's how I would amplify my images myself. Everything was black and white for the most part. I mean, we had color classes, but if I could do everything in black and white, I would have. The dark room was a happy place like I've never known before. It was where these images can come alive, and I felt that so strongly, that everything was so clear at that point. It was so clear how I had avoided this such a powerful side of myself for so long. And that's when the self-love began to come out of me, because I loved that Jenny, even though she had been obscured by, a relationship back then and the people back then and everything. From within the core, I loved that part of myself. I loved that me so much. And I did not see her in anything in that present reality. I had erased her. I had completely erased her. And it was like I found myself, my light, my shadow, my darkness, and my light, and we were together again, and I just had to do everything all over again. So I took the name Claroscura. It's supposed to be Claroscuro, but I put the A at the end because of it's a feminine way of saying, it's like you're describing a dark woman, not just darkness. So that's my story. And yes, it is linked with my dream work. Through all that, there were many dreams that guided me through this. Plus, I believe that when you begin dream work, you also set into motion your light and shadow work to come. And it doesn't have to be as dramatic as my life was at the moment. Because I needed more awareness and self-love. And you have more people around you that can help. I was completely shut out, and there was a scarcity thing happening in my life. So I felt completely alone during this, but you're not alone. You have people around you. I highly recommend that if you do any kind of shadow work, but you shouldn't do this just with a YouTube video, or you should join a group of people, a meditation group or a support group, or a forum, anywhere, a Facebook group, wherever there's like active, positive, and spiritual leaders and thought leaders then that can help you. Or I would actually suggest more than just a social media thing, that it actually be actual people that can help you, a teacher, a guide. Don't do it alone. Not the hard things, you know. You need somebody to be able to look outside of you and understand when you're off balance and guide you back. At least in the beginning. My partner and I helped each other a lot during that time. Although we couldn't help each other when we were in the shit, because we were both going through shit. Once we started to be self-aware, we began to see one another's different faces. And we also learned to love each other through our dark and light. And we many times we dream of the other person's shadow, or how their shadow can mirror our shadow. And we learned so much from our insecurities and all these feelings that happen within a relationship. I was warned. Waking reality, my dreams, everything was pointing toward what was going to come, and it was an initiation of sorts. I was asking for growth, and hey, I got it. Growth doesn't always look so friendly, but it is on your side. Growing, dreams, everything is on your side. Everything is conspiring together so that you bloom, so that you flourish. And don't forget that, even in your darkest of moments, that even that darkness is your friend. That fear, if you feel fear, talk to that fear. The fear has a lot to say. It can also give you insights. I use active imagination and intuition for everything, so that I can converse and bring to life all those aspects that I'm trying to integrate within myself. And there's a huge amount of power in being conscious of your light and being conscious of your shadows. My light integration began, but with the help of my shadow. It was like with the raw energy, without judgment, both of them, raw energy behind me, wearing it like a cape, wearing it. It was energy. It was no longer with things assigned or attached to it. It was just raw energy. My pure potential is now beginning to flourish because I did so much work. But I love doing this kind of work because it means growth, you know, freedom. So embrace your whole self and love your whole self.